kind of first interview process of the basic facts of who you are can be made 10 times more interesting if you ask with interest in mind. Hey guys, Hector Castillo-Papi from girlschase.com. Today we're going to talk about, do you give a fuck what that woman says? You could also call this video how to be a good listener, maybe. How to be an active listener. It's going to involve all of these skills. But the central question is, when you are talking to new women and you are going through the same questions that you've gone through possibly hundreds of times, of what's your name, where are you from, if you're in school, what's your major, or what's your job, where'd you grow up, da-da-da. When you're doing that same rigmarole that you've done so many times before, how much do you care about the answers that are coming out of her mouth? Or are you just going through the motions because you recognize that this is a necessary part of the courtship that you have to get through before you can put your dick inside of her pussy? So this question came up a while back when I was talking to a client, and he was doing day game, going out during the day and meeting girls and walking up to them on his college campus and, hey, how are you? I think you're cute. What's your name? Da-da-da. And while he was telling me his experiences with the girls, and he even had some recordings of him talking to them. He had like a little mic in his shirt. And I got to see how he's actually talking to them. What's his voice sound like? What is he actually saying? How is she responding? Her tone of her voice. Things that you can hear, some more key elements than if someone just tells a story. And I noticed that he's a little bit more of a car salesman personality. I've made a video about that actually, where he's kind of just naturally extroverted and just like, hey, how are you? And da-da-da, and da-da-da. It sounds like he's always on a script. So this problem was a little bit more pervasive in his seductions. And I noticed that he didn't really respond to women in a way that felt like he was hearing what she's saying, actively thinking it through, and then giving a response that requires a couple seconds of thought. It felt like he was just kind of doing lines that he thought were like, oh, that's a witty response, or this is a good response to what she's saying, and she's going to think I'm funny and clever, and she's going to giggle, and we're going to have good rapport, and then I'm going to get her number, and then I'm going to take her on a date, and then I'm going to fuck her. That's the process, right? No matter if you hate this seduction stuff or you love it, at the end of the day, there's going to be some sort of fucking process of getting to know her. You guys go out, then something happens, then you get together. That's what we call the process. But inside that process, there is a real conversation happening between two people. And what I noticed with him is he was lacking that authenticity. And this is talked about a lot in dating. Are you being authentic? Are you being sincere? Are you being honest? And I've talked about it. But at the conversational right now level, when you're talking to her and you're listening to the words coming out of her mouth, do you actually give a shit what she's saying? It's a very simple question, but it's very fucking important. Do you care? This is the maybe fifth girl that you've talked to, this week. Do you care that she's going to give you the, oh, I'm from here, and no, this is my major, and no. Or are you just like, all right, this is the information that I need to build basic rapport, and then just say whatever I need to say back? No, that's not how you need to go at it. And I think this is a huge problem with a lot of guys in our industry, is it's difficult to give you, like, outside of telling you stories, like super specific advice. We can kind of just give you general tips, which is just the limiting factor of trying to teach 1,000 people at the same time. But in this art, you are needing to tailor things to the person that you're talking to because it's between you and them. Your experience is fed by your previous experiences with women and with talking to people in general. But when you're talking to this girl right now, she is a human being with her own experiences, own biases, prejudices, happinesses, traumas, fears, hopes, dreams. And those are all going to feed into the way that she's talking to you. And the same with you. Your past and your mind is going to be feeding into the conversation you're having with her. because you have to process your thoughts before you speak them. And if you want to have a better seduction and better connection with people in general, friends, family, coworkers, and lovers, a good seducer, a good socializer, a truly charismatic and smooth man is going to understand that this conversation between you and me right now is a little bubble. It's its own little universe. And we are going to be somehow trying to exchange what's going on in our heart and our mind in this first little interaction of 5 minutes, or on a date when you're talking for a couple hours. So when you're talking to her, there has to be some level of interest above just, this is the process I need to go through to get laid. If you have that mindset of just going through the motions, you'll probably get some results at some point, but you're significantly hindered by your lack of flair, by your lack of artistic touch, that little Midas touch that a good seducer adds to all of his seductions, because he's bringing in something a little bit interesting. He's got a little bit of sarcasm here. He's a little bit more introverted here. Or he's a little bit, more wild and eccentric in this moment when he tells this story or says this. There's always going to be these little, these little artistic signatures on conversations that you're going to leave at the end of the seduction, and she's going to leave having experienced that. And if you're able to add in that little artistic touch to your seductions, no matter how many times you've done it before, and maybe it's becoming kind of a little bit too routine, if you can keep that level of, let's call it interest, then you can become more interesting. So this is an interesting concept, that when you are interested in something, you become interesting. And this is tenfold magnified by the psychological fact, maybe, that people are more connected and invested and allured by you when they feel they are understood. It's an interesting concept. People's connections to you is predicated upon how much they know about you and seeing if your values align and etc. But I would say that a stronger majority of what constitutes her affection and interest towards you is going to be, how much does she feel that you know about her? Like, do you get her? That's going to be most of what she will feel is her connection to you. It's, most people, you're going to have a better conversation when they're talking to you than you talking to them. And you learn this when you start getting better at seducing. If you're able to, not just with lovers, but with anyone, get them to unload towards you, they're going to feel a stronger connection rather than you just talking to them, listening to you. That's important, of course, because they need to know who you are. But I've had seductions where it's mostly me listening to her and then picking, paths of conversation that lead deeper into her psyche, and she shows me more of who she is. And that's a seduction because she feels seen by me and understood by me. And that gives a stronger connection than if I were to monologue towards her for 2 hours. So being interested in her makes you more interesting. So if you're feeling like you're not that interested in what women have to say, that's a very big flaw in your seductions. It's been said by one man, a man who loves women is loved by women. And it's very true. It's from Zamparion. It's a very true quote. But I'll say, a man who is interested in her is interesting to her. So if you can go into conversations with a genuine curiosity and interest in what she has to say, even though she might, at the beginning of the conversation of getting to know her, be telling you basic information, that kind of first interview process of the basic facts of who you are can be made 10 times more interesting if you ask with interest in mind. There's a big difference, and it's always in the fundamentals. Your vocal tonality, your body language, your facial expressions. There's a difference between, oh, what's your name? Where are you from? Oh, cool. You have a job, or are you majoring in this? What do you do? Da-da-da. These basic questions. There's a big difference between that and, what's your name? Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Hector. So, what are you majoring in? If we're on a college campus or if it's in the city. Do you work here or you work close by? Are you getting back from work? Yeah, I work around the corner. I work here. Oh, cool. Nice. How long you been working there? Do you like it? Is it what you really want to do? You don't have to get super philosophical with it. You can just ask a basic question like that. But you can just hear in my voice that there's a little bit more interest. Oh, cool. Oh, interesting. Or even if it's boring, it's what she does 5 fucking days a week. So to a certain extent, it's important to her even if she doesn't like it. Oh, wow. And that could be an avenue of exploration in the conversation of asking her if she likes it. But she's going to know by the way I'm looking at her and my vocal tonality and my body language if I'm actually fucking interested in her or not. But if I'm just asking these questions, I'm like, yeah, she's going to see through it. She may not consciously be like, yeah, this guy's just fucking going through the motions. But there's a strong chance she will just fucking see that. But even if not consciously, subconsciously, she's going to pick up on like some sort of detachment that you have towards the conversation. But if you can fix that and you can become genuinely interested in every woman that you meet who you are already physically attracted to, because that's what drew you towards her, but then you're interested in what makes her fucking tick. The way that I got myself, well, I didn't have to get myself. It was kind of bred in me, I guess. When I started, I just had the idea. I didn't know about the pickup stuff. I just had the idea. I want to get to know people. I want to be popular and be known by people and liked by girls. But I actually am curious about what makes people tick. Like when people say they have these values, when I get to know them and be a friend of theirs or a lover of theirs, do I see that they carry out these things that they say that they believe? I like to know the true story, the behind the scenes story of who they are and how they actually act. And I find out, are they really just surface level? Some people are very deep and some people are honestly not that deep. And I want to see how deep does that go. But the only way for me to find out is I have to ask the questions and then I have to see by spending time with them where those questions lead. Do they lead to reality or are they just the fiction that they tell themselves and tell the world? But it starts with the initial interest. What makes people tick? What makes them work? What are the gears that are actually pushing this person to be a fucking person who walks around on the street every day and interacts with people? I want to know who they are. And having that bolstered by a lust for her physically and wanting to be with her romantically and sexually is a very potent combination. I come with her with this primal interest, but also an intellectual or emotive interest. That is a fucking seduction. That is that next level shit. And if you want to get to that next level and you want to have not just 1 out of 10 interactions with women to be interesting, but all of them, even the ones that lead to rejection and don't lead anywhere, just those 5 minutes can be a very interesting experience because you come at it with interest. So by being interested, you will become interesting to women. So I highly suggest that you start giving a fuck about what the women say when they are talking to you, and that's going to make you a better conversationalist, which is going to make you a better seducer, and it's going to make you a more interesting person, which is going to get you the things that you want. The process leads to what we want. We want sex, we want relationships, and we want attention and affection from women. That's the process. But the best way to get there is by doing the premium quality method. And the way that you do it, you do the Italian hands, and it gives you the, you have the real emotional conversation with her, and it feels real, and it feels like this guy's actually there with me. He's not just saying what he needs to say, which is a large criticism of, this industry. But this is me teaching you how to get around that and get to the real seduction, the real shit, the real romancer, the real Casanova, the lover, the Lothario, whatever word you want. That's the way to the real seductions. So start being interested in women and you will start being interesting to women. Cool. Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and suck on my dick. Okay, I love you. Ciao.
Ciao.